Did that wake you up?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. That and my coffee.
Okay, awesome. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inside the Scoop with the Brown Home Group. I'm going to talk to this lovely lady next to me, Susan.west with Fidelity National Title, here shortly. But first and foremost, I want to give out a huge shout out to Timber Creek Wolves for a nail biter of a win against DeLand in the regional.
Wow.
Yep.
Yay.
They won 22-21, and now they're going to head to Seminole High School in Sanford to take on a regional semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe, my kids went there for 4 years in 2010 through 2014.
Right.
I don't think they ever got past this regional.
Wow.
I don't want to say that because I don't want to be wrong.
Well, you kind of did say it, right?
I just did. Yes, I screwed up. But that being said, if you're on, thank you so much for watching. I know we've got our audience of agents as well as our consumers.
Right.
And I'm really thankful, Susan, for you being here. Susan's information is right behind you. You can reach Susan. However, Susan is the president of Fidelity National Title, so she has an amazing team. I'm going to let her talk about that. But before we do, we don't know who Susan is.
Oh, who Susan is?
Who's
okay.
Susan?
Let's see if I know who Susan is. I am Susan.west. I'm with Fidelity National Title, as Rick said. I run the east coast of Florida, the direct operations. We're a Fortune 400 company, and I am blessed to run a piece of that. And I'm also a mother of 4 adult children.
Okay.
I'm a grandmother of a wonderful little 6-month-old boy.
Grandmother.
Okay,
we might have to do another show about health and fitness and tap it into the fountain of youth.
All of those things. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But I came up through the real estate industry, started in banking.
Okay.
I ran a post-closing delivery to secondary market department for a bank. And then I went from there, started as a teller actually, and then I went from there to sales in the title industry.
Okay, now it's making sense.
Yes,
now it all starts to add up.
I understand it all. I've been doing this for 26 years.
Wow.
Started in sales, had a desire to make sure people knew I wasn't just, delivering food or donuts. I wasn't just, for, lack of a better way to say it, another pretty face. I was somebody that understood the industry and wanted to add value. So from the beginning of my sales career and title, I wanted to give something more than maybe what they expected from a salesperson at that time.
Sure.
And that was fun for me to take my knowledge in the banking world, in the mortgage world, and be able to translate that to title, to being able to help with the value add. So that was my main goal.
What makes somebody want to get into title or get into that realm of business?
Didn't even know what title was. So I think we're the hidden industry that people really don't understand unless you're in it. So I was working at the bank, the mortgage department. Real quick story. I was doing an event for March of Dimes, a fundraiser.
Sure.
I invited all the vendors so that they could come to this luncheon and donate money, and I was just being me. Would you like more coffee, Rick? Would you like more this? Let me clear your plate. I was just working the room, but wasn't working the room, was just being me.
Sure.
And then Chelsea Title called me. Chelsea Title was owned by American Pioneer, which was later purchased by my company, Fidelity. And they called me and said, how would you like to do sales? And I said, I've never done sales before in my life. They're like, yes, you have. Yes, you have. We saw you yesterday. Yes, you have. So I was able to have the unique benefit of taking an operational mind, which was what I was doing in the banking world, and add a flair of personality and sales to that, which I really think helped me be very successful. So to answer your question, I wasn't looking for the role and title. I really didn't know it existed, but because I was in the industry, I was able to tap into, or people were able to tap into me and then help me to transfer my skills over to the title world.
So can you tell the audience, as far as Fidelity, I know you're nationwide, but
Yes.
for your responsibility in the east side, you're obviously right here in Waterford.
Right.
Where else do you?
We have operations from Jacksonville, which is our headquarters, down to Plantation, which is just north of Miami. And if you go up the coast, Port St. Lucie, Merritt Island, Titusville, Lake Nona, Oviedo, Claremont, Mount Dora, Winter Park, Sand Lake.
Just keep on going.
Keep going. So New Smyrna.
Okay.
So I also want to mention that we have 3 operations that are not community driven. We have a commercial department department.
Okay.
We have an investor department, and we have a builder department. And those are what we like to call our specialty departments, because all of that business is just different enough that it's important to have somebody that specializes in that sphere. And then our other, 14, 15 offices are very focused on the community business like we do together, Rick.
Right, 100%. Awesome.
And refinances for those lenders out there. We do refinances as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we could probably talk a half hour or even probably an hour
Right.
with Susan.
Exactly.
But we
I
gotta
thought
move
that's
on.
why we were here.
Oh, well, yes, we are.
Yeah.
But we want to talk about some other things
Right.
today because our audience is interested in knowing.
Right.
It's not the sexiest
Conversation,
subject,
right?
but we're in tax season, right? So some of the questions that my team and I have put together to
Right.
ask you regarding tax season is obviously homestead exemption and how that works.
Right.
Right. I actually was out with a buyer this past weekend, and I was trying to understand, and please clarify to our audience.
Right.
If we go under contract and we don't close by December 31st, they can't get homestead.
They cannot claim their own homestead
They
exemption.
cannot claim their home. Okay, so
Right.
can you kind of elaborate on
Yeah,
that?
so
Because-
if you have to buy the home by December 31st so we're in 2019, so let's just talk about 2019.
Sure.
You have to buy and close on your home by December 31st.
Right.
And then you have until March 1 to actually accumulate all the documentation you need and file for your own homestead exemption.
Gotcha.
Homestead exemption, depending if you're single or you're married, could be anywhere from $25,000 to a $50,000 reduction on the assessed value. So the county's creating an assessed value. The county has what we call millage rates. So those are percentages essentially that they're going to charge you on your assessed value to determine what your tax bill is. So the
Right.
more exemptions you have, meaning the more reductions to your assessed value you have, the less dollar they're going to charge those millage rates on, which obviously reduces your tax amount that you
Gotcha.
have to pay.
Gotcha. So obviously I did forget to mention Veterans Days today.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
we want to thank our men and women who are serving and who have served in the military. So
And
thank you.
It's
We
my
would-
dad's birthday.
Okay.
Happy
well,
birthday, Dad.
happy birthday.
92, and he is also a veteran.
well, there you
Yes.
go. Well, thank you for your service to each and every one of you out there that's serving. My son-in-law is in the Army and
Yay.
stationed over in Fort Lewis,
Wow.
Washington. So Kennedy, if you get a chance to watch this, they're 3 hours behind us,
Right.
so he's probably asleep or maybe working.
Exactly.
Thank you for your service, son.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. So, all right, getting back to homestead, and you kind of tapped on, okay, so, and just for easy math,
Right,
if somebody's home value is 300,000,
right,
they're married,
right.
so their assessment is on 250,000.
Let's call it that, yes.
Yes?
Mhm.
Okay. And obviously, military, things like that, there are other exemptions
Right.
where you could get 100% exemption.
Widower exemption, there are
Okay,
other
so
things we
widower,
can talk
right.
about, right?
And obviously, you can talk to a realtor on my team, and we'll help you with that. Obviously, we have title here to answer any questions that we have. So let's talk about closings, you mentioned. And does it matter when somebody closes, whether it be September, October, November?
Yes, it does matter. And let's back up. One other thing I wanted to cover
Okay, sure.
is there is an opportunity sometimes as a buyer to get the benefit of the seller's homestead exemption, right?
Okay.
So if I'm buying a home, let's say I'm closing January 15th, 2020, right? And the seller had homestead,
Okay.
there's a chance that if the seller doesn't buy in time to remove their homestead from this residence and add it to another one, that I might benefit from the seller's homestead exemption, but that doesn't mean it's mine, and it won't carry forward. So we have to really pay attention of what's the seller's current exemptions, when are we closing. It's not a guarantee that their homestead will transfer to us, but if it does, it doesn't continue. We still have to do the work by March 1. It's a moving target. That's what people really have to understand, and they have to pay attention. We talked for a half a second about a widower's exemption.
Yeah.
We've had it before where a seller's paying 0 in taxes. And we prorate, we benefit, we show the proration between seller and buyer based on the current tax amount. Well, a title company needs to be very aware of what is going to happen with the taxes when the buyer has to pay taxes the following year. So I say all that to say, if you are a buyer, you may not be experiencing the same tax cost that the sellers experience because your situation is different. You have to work with a realtor like you, Rick, and your team, and a title company like us that knows what they're doing, and they're able to stop what they're doing to explain current tax situation and what yours will look like when your tax bill comes out. We could talk about new construction, lot only taxes, right?
Yes.
The builder could be paying taxes on just the lot, but you're buying a home. So the taxes jump from being charged on, let's say, $20,000 to on $350,000.
Right.
We have to be aware of what's happening now and what's going to happen. So it's a big conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And we can't just
so
assume.
You said, so if somebody was a widower and they didn't pay any taxes, and I'm a buyer, and I go in and I see that there's 0 taxes, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I understand what you're saying so far as it's going to get reassessed down the road, right? But for that time period, are they going to benefit with?
No.
So they're not?
No, they are not.
Okay.
And if there's a fluke in the system and they do, it's a gift. But as a rule, they're not going to benefit. So it's really important, Rick, that at the closing table, I'm able to say to your seller, ma'am, what do we do about prorations, right? So if the seller, if we're selling the house in let's just call it September,
right,
and we have to determine how that buyer is going to be charged taxes, right? And what's the tax bill going to look like in November to the buyer, and will there be a tax amount, and what is it, and how does that impact prorations? That's a call.
Gotcha.
That's a call to the county, right?
Gotcha.
We have to dig in to determine, do we prorate and charge seller, or do we not charge seller taxes because they're exempt? There's conversation there.
Yeah.
So let's keep with the professionals to make sure we're digging into each circumstance and not moving too fast. But back to your question, September, October, November look very different in our world. Tax prorations, let's just talk about taxes. We could talk about street lights and garbage, which those are taxed differently on a tax bill.
That's fun.
But today, ad valorem taxes are what they're called, and they are taxed different. But today, we're just going to talk about real estate taxes.
Gotcha.
So in September, tax bill is not due yet, right?
No.
Taxes are paid in arrears. So when the 2019 taxes are paid, they'll be paid from the beginning of the year to the end, right?
Gotcha.
So if we're closing in September, we're going to debit the seller, charge the seller, credit the buyer through the closing date, and when November comes, that buyer is going to be responsible for that whole year's bill, right? Okay, so that's important to understand. In October, it looks a little bit differently. This is the other thing, and I'm trying to speak slowly enough so I don't lose anybody, that people need to understand. When the tax bill comes out in November, there's an opportunity to pay it in November with a 4% discount. Pay in December 3%, January 2%, February 1%, March it's considered delinquent. A lot of people think that means, we don't have to pay till March. No. Taxes are billed and due in November. As far as I'm concerned, as a closing company, they have to be taken care of in November. The lenders, however, in October want us to insure them. So you're the buyer, right? And Blaine is the seller. You're getting a loan, Rick, to buy Blaine's home. Your lender is going to require in October that we at the title company collect taxes and hold them. To pay them when the bill comes out in November, because we're ensuring that lender that taxes have been paid. Because the consumer needs to understand that a lender and a title company are both impacted if taxes aren't paid, and that's something called lien position. We could talk all day about that too. We're not going to talk about that today, but October means even though they're not due, I'm still collecting the full amount of taxes, right? Because I'm going to be prepared to pay them in November. A seller that has a loan on the property, they maybe have an escrow account. So they maybe have been paying all year long to their lender to pay for those taxes. So now we're at the closing table telling a seller in October, I have to collect too.
Wow.
Your lender's going to refund you money. So there's a lot of conversation. So September, we're just doing your normal proration. Charge your seller, credit your buyer. Buyer pays the bill when it comes due. October, we're collecting, we're holding, so that the payment can be made in November, and either the lender, if the seller had a lender, is going to refund, or we're going to refund. But we potentially, two of us, could be holding tax money. November, we're collecting, we are paying. So there's the 3 different scenarios. Did that make sense? Sorry. Did I do what you wanted me to do?
No, you did. Yeah, more so. And guys, her information's up top. If you are completely
Lost?
blown away,
Sorry.
yes, feel free to email.
Right.
And you'll answer those questions, or you'll take those
Absolutely.
phone calls.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know that right now everybody, because I just bought a home and I'm, kind of concerned, and I've already filed.
Right.
I think I did it online.
Right.
So I know
Isn't that funny? We're in the business, and I'm like, I think I did. I think I did.
I did something online. It asked me for everything but my firstborn.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a lot of information.
The question is, would you have given your firstborn if they had asked?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Austin, if you're out there watching. Yeah, so, and just so you know, our clients, you don't have anything to worry about. We're actually already putting together that information, sending it out to you.
Right.
Because you need a copy of your HUD and information, so filing for your homestead.
Right.
So we do that, as well as I know you do that as a title company. If they need any information or documentation, that you're there as well.
There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
This is not a commercial. It really isn't.
No.
But the fact of the matter is to have
But
a
it's serious.
realtor that understands the process and have a real estate professional that has a partner that understands the process is really important, because there's another piece to this too. Come November, we're running reports in our own system to make sure that if we collected any money in October, we're paying it out.
Yeah.
Right? We don't want to hold your money. We don't want to make sure, we want to make certain that the monies that we collected from you get applied appropriately or get refunded to the appropriate person. So it's before, during, and after the closing that this conversation is important.
No, absolutely, yeah, because obviously I don't want any of my clients to not know that they should file homestead. And we could also talk about, if you're an investor out there, that you can't file for homestead.
Right, exactly.
It has to be your primary resident.
Right.
However, anybody that is part of the Brown Home Group family, you will get something in the mail. You will also get an email as well as a phone call. We are going to do everything we can to remind you that you need to file your homestead if you haven't already.
Well, here's another scenario to bring up. Let's say that someone's mother is buying a home, and the mom wants son to be in title, right? That's a whole nother conversation, Rick. You're going to have me back on the show a lot,
all right.
okay? So mom wants you to be on title with her because when mom passes, she wants you to own the property. That's called joint tenants with rights of survivorship. There's a specific way to take title to determine what happens when somebody passes, right? So if mom lives in the property, Rick, and you don't live in the property because you have homestead exemption somewhere else, does mom get full homestead exemption? And I will tell you, we don't ever answer that question generically. We're checking with the county. We're making certain county's going to give mom full benefit of homestead exemption, and sometimes there's conversation and digging in that has to go along with that. But as you can see, it can get complicated. We want to make sure mom gets the benefit of what happens when she passes, and mom gets the benefit of widower's exemption, homestead exemption while she's still here living in that home.
Wow.
Lots of conversation.
So I had one of my questions here, do you love what you do? But I can tell how passionate you are about what you do. And why? I mean, why do you love what you do?
Well, it's interesting because I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I just started that up recently so we can just continue our own personal professional growth. Sure. And something, Ed Milet was interviewing a football player this weekend, and he said something about be passionate about what you do. And Rick, I'm not sure it's title insurance that I'm passionate about, but I'm passionate about people. And the opportunity we've been able to afford people that come into our industry. A lot of people that come into our world aren't getting a college education and then coming to us. A lot of people are coming with a high school education, with some college, and we're affording them opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have. But it's also about the first-time home buyer. It's about the investor. So we're helping the first-time home buyer experience a dream, right?
That's pretty exciting.
We're helping the investor experience a dream, and maybe that's wealth, right? Maybe they're building wealth.
Yep.
We're helping a widower that just lost a loved one sell their home to be able to move on to the next season of their life. So whether it's one of our employees, whether it's one of our clients, whether it's somebody like you, the ability to have this as a platform to make a difference in other people's lives, that keeps me energized every day, all day.
Yeah, so obviously you love what you do.
Yes.
So obviously I think we're both on the same page when it comes to being passionate about taking care of the client.
Right.
And not just during the process, but afterwards too.
Right.
Because you want them to come back.
Yes.
I mean, we're a referral-based business. I know in the real estate world, if there's realtors out there, which I see a bunch on, we're definitely, going to take care of the client. And those first-time home buyers, because my kids are 27 and 24, and I know you have some that age.
Well, actually, I have two that age and two in other ages, so here we go.
So they're now in that process of wanting to buy their first home.
Right.
And so, I feel like I want to take them in as if they were my own.
Right.
And that's how I treat any one of those
Right.
individuals, those young couples that are just getting married and starting out their lives.
Well, and it's fun for me too. I was just in Port St. Lucie last week, Rick, talking to a real estate professional just like you, and I said something to him about you need to be all answers to your clients where real estate's concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So I, for instance, think that refinances, that's big right now. I challenge you, which I'm sure you are, up on, the rates, the programs, so that when your client that bought a home from you, they ought to be calling you and your team to say, hey, Rick, should I be calling someone about a refinance? You should be the resource for everything home buying, home owning. And I should be the resource for everything title, everything legal where that is concerned, and also just about personal and professional growth. So there's so much abundance.
I usually will not ever answer any questions when it comes to refinance. I will say that I have a preferred lender, preferred title. You would be the person that I would.
But you'd be the resource and sometimes it's not what we know, it's
the go-to.
What is the expression? It's not what we know, it's who we know and what they know.
Absolutely.
And our ability to connect people together. So I love the fact that your clients are calling you, whatever their need is, and you're not going to go build someone's roof, but you'll give them an opportunity to see who you've seen in the industry that can rebuild roofs, right? Same thing with the lender.
Brown Home Group's motto is we go above and beyond the sale.
Right. So, the roof, above, beyond. All right.
All of that.
I guess that was funny, right?
Yeah, it was no. But seriously, we obviously, we get into the same category as a used car salesman. Right. You sell a house and then you're done. But that's not. I know most realtors out there, I speak for all of us, we're not like that. Mm-hmm. So we do want to take it beyond the sale of a home. Right. And make sure they come back to us, because obviously if they buy a home, they got to sell a home.
Exactly.
So eventually we want to make them money. And
what about their kids and their neighbors and their coworkers?
All of that.
Right.
So absolutely. So I'm going to ask this question because it's here, and I want to find out, do you consider yourself critical?
Yes.
Okay, and what does that mean?
No. Yes. No. This is what I've learned about myself of recent and people have accused me in the past of being a micromanager or hypercritical, and this is what I'll say to you, Rick. I critique to the smallest of things in us as people. Because if we critique the smallest of things about ourselves, we can propel forward in ways that no one else can. So I take that example in the gym. I'm working out with the trainer. If I lift the weight this way and he tweaks it to this way, or vice versa, what a difference that makes in the whole training.
Sure.
I believe in taking that to our person and to each other to hold each other accountable. So I am not hypercritical. I am not a micromanager. I am someone that critiques to the smallest level in myself and in others, to propel us forward in ways that without that conversation we wouldn't be able to.
Awesome. I know we have about a couple minutes left. We may go over a few minutes, so good for us. Any comments or successes that we look for in the industry in 2020?
2020, I believe there's a lot of noise. And whether that noise comes from what's going to happen politically, what's going to happen with the iBuyers, what's going to happen with technology. If we can be aware of what's happening, right? We need to be educated in what's happening in our industry, in our world.
Sure.
But if we just keep our heads down and continue to work hard, there will be, and the word is overused, an abundance of business for us. So I think for me, for my team, for people that are in my circle, the answer is have an awareness. So it's like basketball, right? A basketball coach has to have a full court view. We have to have a full court view of what's happening in our industry, but if we pay too much attention on this side of the court because something happens there and we don't shift our eyes down to where the ball is currently, pretty impressive that a girl's using a basketball,
right? That's pretty good stuff.
Right.
I like that
So if we
analogy.
don't shift our eyes down to where the ball's headed, we're going to miss something really important. And I think it's the same thing in our industry. Yes, there's noise. Yes, there's political conversation. Yes, yes, yes. But the fact of the matter is, if we get up every day and work harder and smarter and dig deeper and engage more, our business will propel forward and will increase. And that's what I live by.
I love it. No, that's great. So,
I wanted to thank you, if I could,
yeah,
for including us in your customer appreciation event.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we had a really great time. I don't know if you guys saw, but we've been slowly posting our many winners that we did have that night. But yes, thank you so much.
What you could see there, and the benefit to coming is obviously partnering with you is a benefit, hands down.
Yeah.
But to watch your buyers and sellers and the relationship you had with them, you don't see that with every real estate office. So I just wanted to thank you not only for allowing us to partner with you, but allowing us to have another example of what after the closing relationship looks like, because we are professionals, and for realtors to be one and done is not okay, and for you to include us in that was a blessing. So I wanted to thank you.
Oh, no, thank you so much. So I'm going to ask the question, is title insurance bigger, better? I mean,
is bigger better?
Is
Yeah,
it
bigger. So I'd say yes. Work for Fidelity National Financial. We're a Fortune 400 company. We are #1 in the country in our industry, both financially, and that's net profit, right? Not how much we bring in, but how much we keep, and how much is then available to our shareholders, right? So Fortune 400 company, #1, both financially, #1 with how much we hold in reserves to protect our people that we insure, and #1 in market share nationally. So to have that behind me every day, and then Rick have the benefit to be able to come in and run 19 individual businesses, because that's what I run, is 19 individual businesses. So I get to create boutique opportunities in each community that we're in. Hands down, bigger is better where we're concerned. And the financial backing we have, I still have to be responsible. I do believe that my job is to be a good steward of the money that I'm in charge of. That means your buyers, your sellers, escrow money, the lender's money, the fiduciary responsibility. Again, a show we could talk about all day long, our fiduciary responsibility. The fact that we do have to pay claims. There's never a hesitation about our operating account and the money that we have there, and just the financial standing. And then to back up, we have Chicago Title, Fidelity National Title, Commonwealth Title. We have several underwriters that our company owns. Chicago being very well known for their standing in the commercial world. We closed a $7 billion transaction in 2017 in Broward County. We'll close a $300,000 commercial transaction. We'll close a $50,000 or a $10,000 lot. There's an opportunity because of our size and the depth that we have to assist our clientele in any space where title insurance is concerned. So yes, bigger is better.
Okay. Well, I think we're about wrapped up. I was going to give you the last word, but you kind of got it.
Sorry, can't help myself.
No, I'm so thrilled that you were here today. Obviously, just to get you for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
How busy I know how you are. But thank you for coming on the show.
And can I ask you on the show to join me at my closers platform? We'll get you on there before the end of the year.
I would love to be
Absolutely.
on that. Yeah. So I do want to go ahead and tell you next week we're going to have our home organized. So if you've ever thought about reorganizing your closets, your kitchen, I actually personally used them when we moved in.
Oh, great.
They did an amazing job in trying to get us situated because we were in boxes.
Okay.
They came in, they took the boxes and they took everything out.
Oh, wow.
And they stuck everything.
So they're not just movers.
They're not movers. So we use movers, which we're going to have a moving company on here. But that being said, she came in and kind of reorganized our kitchen.
Wow.
And, sometimes, obviously, women like to do their thing. Mm-hmm. And so, but she comes in, she gives you an idea, a thought, and she was really, really helpful. And there are a lot of young couples out there when they move, they're just a little discombobulated on what to do. So check out that next week. Again, Susan, thank you so much
so
for
much.
coming. Her information's behind us. And do you have anything else you want to just say?
That's it. Just thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Make it a great day. That was awesome.
Is that too long?